What is going on, guys? In today's video I will show you the best weapon tier list in Albion Online. So this game has a lot of unique weapons, and by that I mean we have 17 weapon categories, with 7 to 8 specific weapons in each one, so we have a huge variety to choose from. But the big question is, what weapons are the best and can do the highest damage possible, and much more. So I've done a bunch of testing and here are the results. So for the first category we have the swords, and here are their rankings. These are your basic melee weapons that have quick movement speed and great DPS. Starting us off we have the broadsword, which has the ability to jump towards a targeted enemy and deal damage. It's mainly used for solo PvP. Next are the dual swords, which allow you to jump towards and knock up enemies in an AoV, which then modifies your auto attacks and deals extra damage. It is mainly used in solo PvP. Then the claymore is a two-handed sword that allows you to dash to a targeted enemy, damaging them and stunning them. Again, its main use is in solo PvP. Then the clarion blade is a sword that lets you shoot out a magical blade that can apply different effects. It's mostly used in mid to large scale PvP and PvE. Next is the carving sword, which allows you to dash forwards and pierce enemy defenses. It is used in all PvP content and also in group fame farming. Next is the guillotine pair, which allows you to slam down your sword, creating a shockwave that deals good damage in a large AoV. It is mainly used in large group PvP, as it's more known as the one-shot weapon. Next we have the infinity blade, which combines two spells in one, so the first part will increase your movement speed and damage by about 35 to 40% each, and then the second part will swipe your sword twice and deal massive amounts of damage. This will also slow the enemy's hit by 70%. This weapon is mainly used for solo PvE and PvP, but it's pretty much very good at all the content. And last but not the least we have the Kingmaker, which has also a two-swing combo, the first one knocking up enemies, and then the second one slamming them down and dealing big damage. It is mainly used in medium to large scale PvP. Then for the second one we have the axes, and here are their rankings. These are melee weapons that debuff enemies with bleeds and reduce their healing. Let's start off with the battle axe. It has the ability to throw out your axe, dealing damage and healing yourself. It is mainly used for solo PvP. Next is the great axe, which allows you to spin around in a circle and damage everything around you. It is mainly used for solo fame farming and anywhere from small to large group fights. Next is the halberd, which has the ability to hit enemies in a large AoV around you, applying a bleed to everybody that's been hit. It's most commonly used for large-scale PvP. Then Carrion Collar is an axe that shoots out a raven-like projectile, which damages enemies and reduces their healing. It is mainly used in small-scale PvP. Then the Infernal Sight has the ability to slash around you 2 times, executing low HP targets. It is mainly used in small to large group PvP and PvE. Next is the Beer Paws, which has the ability to quickly jump forwards, striking enemies in a cone in front of you and dealing bunch of damage. Beer Paws are commonly used for solo ganking and 1v1s. Next we have the Crystal Reaper, that is a damage over time weapon, which creates this area that lasts 12 seconds, and by recasting it again, you can dash and deal damage through the all enemies that you just dashed through. The Reaper is mainly used in small scale PvP. Last but not the least we have the Realm Breaker, which has the ability to jump up and then slam down in a small AoV, knocking up, dealing damage and reducing the max HP of all the enemies that you just hit. It is used in all sorts of group PvP and PvE. Next up we have the maces, and this is their ranking. They are a tank-based weapon category with various debuffs and ways to CC your enemies. Starting us off we have the one-handed mace. It has the ability to jump forwards and stun the enemies in an AoV. It is mainly used for PvP, anywhere from small to large groups. Next is the Morningstar, which has the ability to dash and then root the enemies in an AoV. This is usually used for large-scale ZVZ. Next is the Heavy Mace, which has the ability to silence and purge enemies around you. This is useful in small to large-scale PvP and PvE. Then the Incubus Mace is a weapon with the ability to debuff enemies in an AoV and reduce their max HP. This weapon is mainly popular for any fame farming groups as the tank role. Next is the Bedrock Mace, which has the ability to summon a Wind of Wall, which knocks back enemies and is mostly used in solo and large group PvP. Then the Camelan Mace shoots out a projectile that attaches to an enemy, and after a short delay, pulls all enemies around you in the center. It is mostly used in a large group PvP as an offensive tank. Next we have the Deathstorm Monarch, which has 3 skills in one. So first 2 parts will swing your weapon, dealing damage and gaining 1 Eye of the Storm, which then in the third part will smash the ground, deal damage and grow the size of that AoE by how many eye charges you have. This weapon is mainly used in mid-size PvP. Last but not least, we have the Oath Keepers. This will summon a Wall of Light, which buffs allies with a large shield and modifies your auto attacks to heal nearby teammates. It is mainly used for solo and large-scale PvP as a support. Next we have the Hammers, and these are their rankings. They are a crowd control based weapon that excels at stunning targets and locking them down. Starting us off, we have the One-Handed Hammer, which stuns an enemy in an AoE. It is mainly used in small-scale PvP. Next is the Great Hammer, which has the ability to dash forward, stun any enemy that you come across, and deal damage. Again, its main use is in small-scale PvP. Then the Polehammer Staff is similar to our first 2 hammers. It slams down in a line, stunning enemies, and its main use again is in small-scale PvP. Next is the Thumb Hammer, which summons a skeleton hand from the ground to stun enemies in a small AoE. It is mainly used in solo and small-scale open-world PvP. Next is the Forge Hammers. With this weapon, you become a giant, slowing enemies around you and giving also the ability to slam down your hammer. It is mainly used for solo PvP or as a defensive tank in large-scale PvP. Next we have the Growkeeper. It has the ability to leap up and then slam down in a large AoE, providing us with a very long stun. This is mainly used in large-scale ZVZ as the defensive tank. Last but not least for the hammers is the Hand of Justice, which has the ability to spin around, pull enemies near you and then knock them up. It is mainly used as an offensive tank in mid to large-scale PvP. Then for the 5th category we have the War Gloves, and these are their rankings. This is a weapon with high damage and amazing CC, who likes to get up close and personal. Starting us off, we have the Brawler Gloves, with the ability to knock up enemies in an AoE, dealing damage and also resetting your cooldowns. They're mainly used in solo and small-scale PvP. Next is the Battle Bracers, which allows you to rise up into the air before slamming down at a range. Their main use is in solo PvP and ganking. Spiked Gauntlets are next, and they deal a burst of damage in an AoE, which increases in the effect the more tankier your target is. They are a great option for fame farming and also for large group PvP. Next is the Hellfire Hands, which has the ability to summon a Fury Boulder that bounces 3 times, dealing damage and reducing their healing. They're mainly used in solo PvP. Then the Ursine Maulers have the ability to repeatedly strike enemies in an AoE, which also does a burst of damage depending on how many times an enemy is hit. Their main use is for mid to large scale PvP. Next is the Raven Strike, which has an ability to slam down and enlarge the AoE around you, dealing damage and knocking up enemies. Their main use is in large scale PvP. Last but not least, we have the Fist of Avalon. They combo 2 abilities together, one jump that knocks up enemies, and another one which is a big punch that deals damage and purges buffs. They're mainly used in solo PvP. Next up we have the Crossbow, and these are their placements. They are a ranged weapon category which deals massive damage. Starting us off, we have the Light Crossbow, which has the ability to put an explosion on an enemy that explodes after a short delay and deals AoE damage. This is good for solo fame farming and small to mid-size PvP. Next is the Heavy Crossbow, which has a simple ability to shoot out a bolt that interrupts casts. It is mainly used for solo PvP. Next we have the Crossbow. This weapon has a one-shot potential by sniping down and dealing heavy damage to a single target after a short channel. It is good for solo PvP and picking off enemies in group PvP. Next is the Boltcasters, which rapidly fire bolts of fire against a single target. They are really good at solo PvP and small to mid-size PvE. Then we have the Weeping Repeater, which is a crossbow that lays down a landmine on the ground that deals big damage in a large AoE. Its main uses comes in large group PvP. Then we have the Siege Bow, which shoots out a volley of high damage arrows that deal bunch of damage. Its main use is in large scale PvP and group fame farming. Last but not least, for crossbows we have the Energy Shaper, which shoots out a high damage and slow moving beam that melts enemies. Its main use is in large group ZVZ. Next up we have the bows, and here are their positions. This is a ranged weapon that likes to run and gun. Starting us off, we have the normal bow, which has the ability to modify your attacks by stacking stacks, and the more you have them, the higher damage you will get. This is good for solo and small scale PvP and PvE. Next is the longbow, where you shoot down a rain of arrows in an AoE. The longbow is strong for fame farming and large group PvP. Next is the warbow, which has a short cooldown skill shot that deals damage based on how far it has flown. This is great for solo PvP. Next is the whispering bow, which boosts your attack by increasing their damage and range. However, it also makes you take more damage while it's active, so it's only good for ganking. Then the wailing bow is the next, and it shoots out a large piercing arrow that deals more damage the more enemies it hits. It is best used in large scale ZVZ. Next is the bow of Badon, which shoots out an arrow that creates an electric field, dealing damage and interrupting anyone that is casting. This is very good for group fame farming and also solo PvP. Last but not least, we have the Mistpiercer. This bow shoots up to 4 magical hawks that each deal damage at a very long range. This is mostly used in ZVZs. Next we have the Daggers, and this is their ranking. Daggers are a slippery weapon with a really high amount of mobility, specialized for melee DPS players and assassins. Starting off, we have the one-handed dagger, which allows you to modify your auto attacks, making them deal heavy damage and heal you at the cost of your own HP. Its main uses come in solo PvP and soloing the PvE bosses. Next we have the claws, which allow you to lock down a single target and deal damage. This is specifically only a ganking weapon. Then the dagger pair is next, which has the ability to attack and burst down a single target, dealing damage over time. This is good for solo and small scale PvP and PvE. Next is the Bloodletter, which has a quick thrusting dash that executes targets who are at low HP. This weapon is the best in the game, and it can be used for every single content imaginable, but mainly it performs the best in solo PvE and PvP. Next on the list is the Demon Fang, which allows you to slash up to 3 times in a row, which will deal very high damage, and it's mainly used in mid to large scale PvP. Next we have Death Givers. This weapon allows you to dash through enemies, turning you invisible for a short time and dealing big damage. They are mainly used in solo and small scale PvP, but it takes a lot of time to get good at them. Next we have the Twin Slayers, that combines 2 skill in 1, so you can throw 6 daggers, but then you can recall all of them and deal damage the second time they come back by going through the enemies again. This weapon is mainly used for medium scale PvE and PvP. Last but not least, we have the Bridal Fury, which lashes out in a big AoV, dealing good damage and pushing yourself backwards. They are mainly used in large to medium scale PvP. Then afterwards we have the Spears, and this is their ranking. These are versatile melee weapons that can reach out long distances. So starting off with a one-handed spear, this weapon has the ability to dash forwards quickly, damaging and knocking up enemies along its path. This spear is a jack of all trades, so you can use it pretty much for anything, like PvE, PvP and fame farming. Next we have the Pike. It has the ability to slam down on a single target, dealing damage and rooting them for a long time. This is mostly used in solo and small scale PvP. Next is the Glaive, which has a unique ability to pick up an enemy and fling them behind you. This is mostly used in small PvP as a tank weapon or a DPS. Next we have the Huron Spear, which gives you the ability to throw out your spear and stun the enemies in an AoE. This is good in small PvP as a melee DPS option. Next is the Spirit Hunter. With his ability, you throw out a spear again, dealing damage in a line and piercing enemy defenses. It is good in large scale PvP and solo or group fame farming. Next we have the Trinity Spear. This will give you the option to leap out, deal damage and root the enemies. And then when you land, you get a buff for yourself and nearby allies, increasing your attack and movement speed. It is mostly good for solo PvP. Next is the Rift Glaive. This weapon will unleash this force that knocks back all the enemies and deals bunch of damage. This is mainly used for small scale PvP. Last but not least, we have the Daybreaker. With this weapon's ability, you dash forwards, purging all the buffs from the enemies and dealing damage. This is good for solo PvP and solo fame farming. Then for the 10th category, we have the Quarterstaffs, and here are their rankings. This is a utility tank weapon that uses knockarounds, debuffs, and interrupts. Starting us off, we have the normal Quarterstaff, which lets you jump at the target, knocking them up, and is mainly used in solo PvP. Next, we have the Ironclad Staff, which allows you to spin around, knocking enemies away constantly. This is mainly used as a tanky disruptor weapon in small-scale PvP. Next is the Double-Bladed Staff, which lets you leap long distances and slow your enemies back. It is mainly used to gank targets or to escape them while gathering. Then the Black Monk Staff is next, and it allows you to throw out a spinning staff that debuffs enemies and reduces their damage. This is used as a tank weapon to control enemies in small-scale PvP. Next is the Staff of Balance, which conjures a storm around you, debuffing nearby enemies and reducing their healing. Again, this is a tank weapon that will give you the option to control your enemies in small-scale PvP. Next, we have the Soul Sight, which shoots out a small tornado that knocks up enemies and slows them down. This is used as a tank weapon in large-scale PvP. Next, we have the Phantom Twin Blade that combines 3 combos in one, so 2 projections that slashes around, and then for the third one, you can slam the ground and throw all the enemies in the air. This weapon is mainly used in large-scale PvP. Last but not least is the Grail Seeker, which has the ability to let you slam down 2 beams of light that roots all the targets. Its main use is in large-scale PvP as a defensive tank to hold back enemies pushing. Next up we have the Shapeshifters, and here are their ranking. As their name might suggest, these weapons will transform your character into different creatures, or unique DPS buffs and debuffs, and much more. Starting us off, we have the Prowling Staff, which transforms us into a panther that changes our skills and gives us bunch of damage. And if no enemies are around you, you will turn invisible. This weapon is mainly used for open world PvP and to catch players off guard. Then the Rootbound Staff will transform us into a Sylvian, that again gives us different skills, makes us a bit more tankier, and increases ours and up to 20 allies max HP by 10%. This weapon is mainly used for mid to large scale PvP. Next we have the Primal Staff, which transforms us into a bear, gives us different skills, and increases our defenses extremely high. This weapon is mainly used for small to mid-sized PvP. Next we have the Blood Moon Staff, which transforms us into a werewolf, which whenever we deal damage, it steals 7% of the enemy's HP. This weapon is great for solo PvE and PvP. Then we have the Healthspawn Staff, that turns you into an imp that has very high offense but very low defense at the same time. But if you ever get to 0 HP, then instead of dying you will become immune and receive from 5 to 30% HP back, depending on your stacks. This weapon is great as a DPS role for small to mid-size PvE and PvP. Then for one of the last ones we have the Earthrune Staff, which transforms us into a golem that gets extremely high defenses and gives us immunity for all movement effects and increases our max HP. This weapon is great for tanks in large-scale PvP. And finally we have the Light Caller. This will transform us into a bird that gets high offense and gets increased movement speed. This weapon is mainly used for open world PvP. Then for Nature Staffs, these are their placements. This weapon will heal allies over a longer period of time, while also giving you mobility so you can move and heal. For solo and small scale content you have a couple of options. The first one is the One-Handed Nature, which has the ability to heal up to 5 allies in an AoE around you. Then the Great Nature, which puts a buff on an ally which heals them every time they take damage. The Druidic Staff, which can heal up to 2 individual targets. And lastly the Iron Root Staff, which can heal up to 5 allies, which has the ability to connect players, giving different buffs and healing, depending on who he is connected. But then for the mid to large scale content, you have the Wild Staff, which puts down an AoE that heals allies over time who stand in it. Then the Blight Staff, which channels an AoE around you, which heals people who are close to you. And then lastly the Rampant Staff, which sends out a heal over time in a huge line in front of your character. Then for one of the last ones we have the Fire Staff. These are damage weapons with strong damage over time and AoE effects. First up is the One-Handed Fire Staff, which shoots out a fireball that explodes on impact, dealing lots of damage in AoE. Its main use comes in solo and small scale PvP and PvE. Next is the Great Fire Staff, which has a low cooldown ability to deal medium damage in AoE. Its main uses come again in solo and small scale PvP and PvE. The Wildfire Staff is next, and it shoots out a burning fireball that deals damage over time. This weapon shines in solo to small scale PvP and PvE. Next is the Infernal Staff, which puts a Fury debuff on an enemy that deals damage and leaves a Fury trail behind them. Enemies who come into contact with this trail take damage and are silenced. This is mainly used in mid to large scale group PvP. Next is the Brimstone Staff, which rains down a meteor from the sky and hits for very large damage. This is mainly used in large scale PvP and PvE. Next is the Blazing Staff, which summons a fire tornado that deals heavy damage over time in an AoE. This is mainly used in group fame farming. Last but not least, we have the Dawn Song, which summons a Fury Phoenix to swoop down and burn your targets by dealing damage and debuffing their healing. It is mainly used in mid to large scale PvP. Next we have the Holy Staffs, and here are their rankings. These are healing weapons that can do a bunch of burst healing, but you have to be stationary while you cast the skills. So for the first one we have the One-Handed Holy, that has the ability to heal a single target and buff up your healing. This is mainly used for solo and small scale PvP and PvE. Then the Divine Staff has the ability to give a single target a large heal, and is mainly used for all types of small scale content. Then the Live Touch Staff allows you to channel a heal on a targeted ally, making it useful for small scale PvP. Then the Redemption Staff has the ability to cast a healing ball that bounces between allies, healing them whenever it touches it. It is mostly used for small and mid-scale PvP. Then the Great Holy Staff is also for small and mid-scale content, and has the ability to heal allies in AoV around it, while knocking back enemies. Next is the Hollow Fall, which has the ability to jump into the air and then heal targets at the landing location. It is used all the way from small scale PvE to large scale PvP. Next we have the Exalted Staff, which drops this AoV heal, which heals and increases max HP of all allies by 20%. This is mainly used for small to large scale PvP. Last but not least is the Fallen Staff, which has the ability to heal many allies in an AoV. Its main use comes in very large scale content. Next we have the Arcane, and these are their placements. These are support-oriented weapons that uses buffs and debuffs to help their allies. First up is the One-Handed Arcane Staff that has the ability to purge all buffs of enemies in a small AoE. Its main use comes in supportive role for mid-scale PvP. Next we have the Great Arcane Staff, which has the ability to freeze time, rendering allies and enemies immune to all effects. Its main use is in large-scale PvP, as a defensive support tank, preventing your allies from taking damage at a critical time. Next is the Witchwork Staff, which has a powerful ability to pull enemies together into a tight spot. Its main use is in mid to large scale PvP and PvE, either way as a supportive role or as a DPS role. Then the Occultist Staff is a unique weapon that lays down a carpet to speed up allies and slow enemies down. It is used as a utility role for large groups, usually in PvP situations. Next is the Eggmatic Staff, which applies a powerful reapplying shield to allies in an AoE. Its main use is in large scale PvP as a supportive role. Then the Locust cleanses all allies of debuffs within a large AoE. It mainly serves as a defensive support role in large group fights. Next we have the Austral Staff, which will shoot down a star that deals bunch of damage and increases your resilience penetration. This is mainly used for ZVCs and castle fights. Last but not least we have the Evan Song, which applies a versatile debuff to the enemies in AoE. Its main use is in small to mid-scale PvP fights, either way as a supportive role or as a DPS option. Then we have my favorite weapon, the Frost Staffs, and here are their ranking. This is a utility and damage hybrid weapon that can utilize teleport and CC AoV damage spells. And starting us off we have the One-Handed Frost Staff, which freezes enemies in place, and its main use is for solo and small scale PvE and PvP as a DPS. Next we have the Great Frost Staff, which rains down waves of icicles dealing damage in an AoE. Its main use comes in fame farming and small to mid-scale PvP and PvE. Then the Glacial Staff is next, and it sends out a long-lasting ice shower that deals heavy damage over time. Its main uses are for large group PvP and small scale PvP, whenever you can combo it with your allies. Next is the Icicle Staff, which lays down an ice storm that slows down enemies in a very large AoE. This staff is mainly used as a defensive support in large scale PvP. Then the Hoarfrost Staff shoots out a snowball that can explode and stun enemies. Its main use is in mid to small scale PvP as a DPS. Next is the Permafrost Prism, which stuns enemies in an AoV and then deals damage. Its main use comes in mid to large scale PvE and PvP as a DPS. Then we have the Arctic Staff, which fires a volley of icicles that each deal damage, while at the same time not restricting your movement. This weapon is good for medium to large scale PvP. Last but not least, we have the Chillhouse Staff, which freezes a single enemy in a place and then deals damage after a short delay. Its main use comes in 1v1s. And for the last and final one, we have the Quarterstaff rankings. These are ranked weapons that rely on high damage over time effects to slowly kill off their enemies. First up is the One-Handed Curse that consumes damage stacks to do a big burst of damage. Its main use case comes in solo open world PvP. Next we have the Great Quarterstaff, which excels at putting the damage over time curses on many enemies very quickly, and is mainly used for small group PvE and PvP. Demonic Staff is next on our list, and it uses a powerful flaring ability to push enemies back. It is mainly used for solo to mid-scale PvP. Next is the Cursed Skull, which is effective against all types of enemies, with its percentage max HP damage. It is mainly used in solo and small-scale PvP. Life Curse is next, and it is a strong utility staff that purges all buffs on an enemy in an AoE. It is mainly used in supportive role, or mid to large scale PvP. Next is the Damnation Staff, which applies a powerful piercing debuff on the enemies in a large AoE. It is mainly used in ZVZs. Last but not least is the Shadow Collar, which is a tricky staff that effects depend on its target. It is mainly used for very high levels of PvE, and that's about it. So if you enjoyed this video, click like, subscribe and comment. And if you're interested in more content, then check out my channel, and I will see you in the next one. So take it easy, peace.